Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
There I am. Hello, hi, and welcome in, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live. Welcome to Sunday Scaries. I don't know. It's not really Sunday Scaries, but it is Sunday. So I'm at least wearing the shirt on the right day. But welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you. Sorry, I'm having an eyelash problem. You would think that I wouldn't. You think I wouldn't have an eyelash problem, but I do. I have pretty long eyelashes naturally. And I think one of them is like wanting to get me. So welcome in, everybody. Hey, Otto. Oh, we miss you. I hope that you get to feeling better. It's been so long, it feels like. Hey, Casey, hey, Ladybug. Ladybug's back in blue, like she belongs. Hey, Kitsy Cat. We did a live on the second channel today. So if you guys missed it and you want to go over there and check it out, it's there. Hey, Bree. Hey, Monchichi. It's just me complaining for a minute. And then we just talked. You know how we do over there. Hey, Gak Attack Mom. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Moose. How you doing, Moose Moxie? Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Laura. It's good to see you guys. I'm going to get down towards the bottom. But hey, Kathy. It's good to see ya. Well, I'm already on a roll now. Hey, Pearl. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you got to watch it. Even Soup came in. I've never seen her before. Oh, my goodness. Geez Louise. Hiding all that prettiness behind that, that avatar, which is even, it looks like her. I think the avatar does. I'd be like, damn, that's me. I would say it was me all day. Hey, Amy. No, she is really pretty. I like her hair like a lot because my hair is like the same length whenever my extensions are out, but it's not curly. It's not full. We are back. Did I say something else, Casey? Or someone else say something? Hey, P. Casey. What did I say? Did I say? Oh, I'm about to say because I'm. Did I say Cassie? Did I say that? Was it me? Was it you guys? It was you. It was you in the chat. It wasn't me. I for surely wouldn't do that. I wouldn't call Casey Cassie. Now I'm second guessing myself just because she said my name's Casey. I'm like, what? I like her a lot too. She always puts out I feel like a good live. Like just can't be. I couldn't be mad at her. She tries to do it with some grace, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Plus, I can appreciate that curly hair. My goodness, wish I had hair like that. But anyways, how's everybody doing? How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are doing great. We're going to be talking about Idaho 4 tonight. We're going to have some, we have new filings in the Brian Koberger saga that will never die. It just won't, it just won't. But no, tonight we're going to go over newly filed Brian Koberger WSU lawsuit documents, what they actually say, what they mean, what they don't say, all the things, right? And why this could change how, universities going forward handle these kind of things, like the warning signs of violence in their schools, right? This is not going to be speculation or rumor or anything because we're going to read right from the damn documents. But according to the lawsuit so far, at least 13 formal complaints have been were filed against Brian Koberger when he was a PhD student there at the university or Washington State University. Don't want to get that wrong. I do have those actually. Let me unpin this. I'll just put them up on the screen. That way they're there and you can see them. These are one of 13, or these are, the first few of the 13. But the complaints describe behavior that allegedly made female students and staff fearful enough to request security escorts and alter their daily routines. They were being harassed in the classroom by him hovering over people while they tried to work. He would stand in the doorway when people were trying to leave and he knew they were trying to leave, but he would kind of just stick around. He would follow people to their car. I mean, he did a lot of stuff. Even the male professor said, if you give this guy a PhD, it's not going to be good. Because and then if he gets tenure and then he's in the school, it's going to be hard to get him out of here. And he said that he would be, what was the wording? I want to get the wording right. That he would be doing inappropriate things with students, trying to do inappropriate things to students. That's what he said. So the families of the victims are accusing WSU of negligence pretty much, arguing that the university failed to act on known warning signs that Brian was putting off and that they failed to use its own threat assessment systems that they have in place. The key legal word here is foreseeable. The lawsuit claims that violence wasn't random. It was a followed known escalation of patterns. Sorry, my dog's back here. Just bothering me. My one dog got sick earlier on both the dog beds, so now they're laying on blankets on the floor, and they're not appreciating that. I told her she could get on the chair. Okay, there she goes. She'll knock that pillow off. Oh, she didn't. Oh, she's gonna lay with it. Okay, that's Mia. She's doing her job tonight. She said, "I'm awake." And the other one's awake too. Look at them. I'm gonna put them to work. In case you guys are reading these, I don't know if you can, but I'll scroll down a little bit. But what this lawsuit is, the big picture here, this is not like a Brian Koberger suing WSU. That's not what this is. This is a civil lawsuit filed by the families of the 4 murdered University of Idaho students against Washington State University, where Koberger was a PhD student and teaching assistant before the murders, of course. The families argue that WSU had knowledge, they knew or they should have known that Koberger posed a danger, that WSU failed to act on repeated warning signs, and that the failure made the murders foreseeable and preventable. That's why foreseeable, is a big key word in this. This case is about institutional responsibility, not guilt or innocence in the criminal case, because that's already resolved and settled. According to some people, it's not, but it is. But according to I went through and I read the rest of the 126-page civil complaint. We had read like most of it, and I went ahead and I was like, I'm good. I just took some notes, like a few notes. But at least 13 formal complaints were allegedly made towards Kohlberger's behavior. Complaints came from students, faculty, and staff. Nobody was off limits. Behavior described includes harassment, stalking, intimidation, and predatory conduct, especially towards the women. Um, Female students and staff reportedly asked for security escorts, changed routines, avoided spaces where Koberger frequented. Some allegedly felt unsafe being alone with him. They would take score on, like, how he would act certain days. That's kind of weird. The lawsuit claims WSU did not properly use its threat assessment system, did not meaningfully discipline or remove Koberger until it was just too late, continued employing him as a paid teaching assistant with housing and benefits despite those complaints against him. And this is where, so the families are arguing negligence, meaning that WSU had a duty of care and that there were clear warning signs and that the university failed to intervene. Legally, the complaint frames the murders as foreseeable and, in fact, predictable, based on known risk factors like stalking behavior. This also opens up potential Title V or was it 6 exposure because many complaints allegedly involve gender-based harassment and safety failures. He said some things to some people that, I mean, I can't believe he had the nerve to say. Like, I wonder actually if some of the stuff that he was saying was after the murders. Like, I kind of want to know, now that I'm thinking about it, how much was before and how much was after, right? Like, was he like this right before the murders, or was it like a little bit of both? Because I'm just thinking that because I wonder how cocky he was afterwards, right? Might be a little cocky. You think you got away with 4, homicides. Hey, Ashley. So a lot of people, I guess, were getting confused on a couple of things. So the lawsuit does not say that WSU caused the murders. It does not change Kohlberger's conviction or his sentence. It does not mean every complaint equals proof. It does argue WSU ignored red flags. It does ask whether earlier intervention could have, have stopped the escalation. And it does focus on institutional accountability, not criminal guilt. So, but this could be huge if they do win this, because universities nationwide are all kind of watching this case. They have been, I think, and on, what to do in situations like this if it comes to, their university. Hey, stop lifting your paw back here. I can hear you all the way up here. Hey, Mia, hello. Sorry. But schools may be forced to take stalking the complaints a little more seriously on campuses. They might document responses more carefully, and they may act sooner. Just when they see patterns of bad behavior emerge, and they may, put that person on restricted leave or something like that a little sooner than Brian Koberger was, right? I mean, they gave him a lot of chances. 13. I mean, that's the people that actually got, hey, Steve, that's the people that actually got their, complaints heard and read and saw, right? But there's probably so many other students that didn't even put in a complaint or anything. Didn't file nothing. They probably didn't file a thing because they probably thought, oh, Jessica filed something. I'm just making up a name. So I don't need to, it happens more than, it should. But I found this. She talks to, she's talking to this gentleman. I forget his name actually already. But this came out 2 weeks ago. And this is whenever the wrongful death lawsuit came out. So they talk about it on here. It's on, I think it's Forbes. Yeah, Forbes breaking news. I think we've watched something on Forbes before, and it was pretty good. So I was watching it. It seemed like it was pretty good. If you guys don't like it, we could always switch it to something else. I know Megyn Kelly did something over this case as well, over this part of the case. But if you guys don't mind, hit the like button. That means a ton. Or I will come and find you all. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, Princess, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see you, Steve. Hopefully they're not working you too much.
The families of the 4 University of Idaho students who were murdered in a horrific November 2022 attack have filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Washington State University, claiming that the school where Bryan Kohberger was both a PhD student and teaching assistant knew about his disturbing behavior and didn't do enough to address it. The explosive lawsuit, which comes 6 months after Kohberger was sentenced to life for the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, further claims that their deaths were preventable if WSU properly responded to his, quote, inappropriate, predatory, and menacing behavior. The lawsuit alleges that almost immediately after Kohberger arrived on campus, he began displaying a pattern of concerning behavior. The suit claims one grad student described him as a stalker, and another characterized him as a, quote, possible future rapist. According to the lawsuit, at least 13 complaints were lodged against Kohberger in the university's Compliance and Civil Rights Office, but the person in charge of dealing with those complaints never even reached out to him. The legal team for the families said in a statement that, quote, this effort is not about vengeance or speculation. This is about ensuring that institutions entrusted with the safety of young people take threats seriously and act decisively when warning signs are present. Criminal defense attorney John W. Day joins Forbes True Crime to break down all the lawsuit's shocking allegations. Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis.
I just want to interrupt her really quick. I'm trying to look through the documents to see when they started and, see when he started becoming, a little too hard to handle. But they're saying that like the first one that I pulled up, it was saying that it was reported. It just says reported date. And it says January 10th, 2023. So it had been way after he was arrested. So I don't know. I'll keep looking though.
One of the hosts of Forbes True Crime. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney John W. Day. John, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, Brittany.
The families of the 4 University of Idaho students who were brutally murdered by Bryan Kohberger in November of 2022 all teamed up to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Washington State University. And this is the school where Kohberger was both a teaching assistant as well as PhD student. And the 126-page lawsuit just contains bombshell after bombshell. The suit alleges that despite the university receiving over a dozen formal complaints about his predatory behavior, quote, WSU failed to respond in any meaningful way and allowed Kohberger's escalating behavior to continue unchecked. It also alleges that the deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle wouldn't have happened if WSU acted appropriately. And there is certainly a lot in here, which we'll all get into. But start off the conversation, what's your initial reaction to the lawsuit?
Well, we know that the families of the victims want to hold somebody accountable. And in the criminal case against Kohberger, there was no trial. Remember, he took a plea. So there's some argument that the families lost out on at least having their day in court with Kohberger having to face the music in terms of going on trial. What happened?
I can agree with that, but only until I saw Stacy Chapin's name on there. Like, I can see the Gonzalez's, no offense to their family. I think that they're a beautiful family, but they were front and center for this case, and they seemed like they wanted a trial. To me, anyway, it seemed like that. They wanted everything to be played out, and Kohberger get the sentence that a jury decided for him, right? Not that he got something that he didn't get to decide. But and Stacy and them, they weren't going to go to the trial and this and that. I don't know, just seeing her like being like, yeah, they did wrong. I don't know. I don't know. To me, I was like, wow, okay. Like all the families are included. Like Jeff Kernodle on the behalf of Xana, Maddie's mother is on behalf of her. Then Steve is on behalf of Kaylee. Like, they have a really strong, they have a strong front. Like, they have, like, they have strong people in their corner. So
here is the families are using the civil system, the civil judicial system, to go after almost a bigger institutional target, the university, saying that the university had so much notice that Kohberger was dangerous, that Kohberger should be watched, that Kohberger should have been kept under a tight rein, and they didn't do it. So the families are saying to the university, you had plenty of notice about this guy and you did nothing. And so now we're trying to hold you accountable. So what they may have lost out in a criminal trial, they're trying to gain in the civil courts. And you can understand the families of the victims wanting justice on that level.
To that point, what happened was just heartbreaking. And reading all 126 pages of this lawsuit, the details here of if these allegations are true, of what WSU knew and when, it's just mind-boggling, especially because Kohberger worked in the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. These people are criminologists. They, according to this suit, recognized this behavior and didn't really do much. And I want to talk about what stood out to me in this, what the allegations are, because it
that kind of makes me laugh. Like, what? They're criminologists and they didn't really catch it. But I think, what's her name? Can't think of her name now. His teacher, from Catherine Ramslin. Right? I had to really think of that. Ramslin. I think she said something actually, like a little bit about that.
Alleges that Kohberger was discussed in multiple faculty meetings, and one professor said this, quote, "Mark my words, I work with predators. If we give him a PhD, that's the guy that in that many years, when he is a professor, we will hear is harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing his students." Then, as early as September 2022, professors were talking about needing to stage an intervention with Kohberger, and around that time, one professor at least thought he was stalking people. That's obviously at the beginning of the semester. That happened pretty much almost immediately after he came onto campus. Kohberger's supervising instructor knew that women had uncomfortable interactions with Kohberger, and some female grad students felt unsafe around him. That's what the lawsuit alleges. Also, it talked about these tactics employees would use, including a bunch of them would stay in one room if Kohberger was one-on-one with a female colleague so that that woman wouldn't be alone with him. One employee set up this system where she told another employee, hey, email me 911 as the subject line of an email if Kohberger's making you feel weird. There were also...
What if Kohberger was that? What if he did something to somebody, right? Like they were in a room alone with Kohberger and they didn't have time to go to the computer, put their email up and type out an email, SOS or whatever, 911 Kohberger. And they shouldn't have had to do that. They shouldn't have had to do that. That's incredibly scary to have to go to work and you fear like somebody that is there, someone makes you uncomfortable. I would not.
Also complaints that he exhibited stalking behavior, and some female students and staff members were so creeped out by him that an escort system was put into place after 5 p.m. In some cases, professors and members of the WSU Police Department were the ones providing these escorts. So it really sounds like, according to this lawsuit, these weren't just one or two isolated incidents. Students and employees were creeped out by him, and employees and people who were above Kohberger knew about this behavior. What are your thoughts on the details here?
Yeah, Brittany, it's stunning. The allegations, if they're true, they paint a picture of a university that was fully on notice that Kohberger was a problem, and that's an understatement. And again, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is the criminal justice department. These are professional academic people who have backgrounds in criminal justice. And the red flags are going up all over the place, according to the lawsuit. Plenty of people knew that there was a problem here. And the families of the victims are saying to WSU, why didn't you do anything? You had plenty of notice. You had an obligation to protect our children, our family members, and you had plenty of red flags you could have used to intervene, and you didn't do anything. And so they're seeking justice, they're seeking compensation from the university for their inactivity. And the facts are just, they're spectacularly damning for WSU, because it shows that it wasn't just an isolated incident. There were plenty of people who were saying, this guy's a problem.
And it almost seemed like there was a culture of women trying to protect other women employees there. But he was put on this improvement plan, and this was at the beginning of November, less than 2 weeks before the murders. There was a vague 4-point improvement plan that was focused on goal setting, talking to the supervisor about if you're meeting those goals, and then the goals can get harder and harder each week. There was a picture of that improvement plan in the lawsuit. Do you think that was sufficient?
Well, the idea that they were taking some kind of action, but in retrospect, obviously, it's mind-boggling that that's all that the university was doing. They knew that they had to do something, and this was their effort at an intervention. But you just have to wonder, according to the allegations in the lawsuit, if they're true, who came up with the idea and who was saying, let's not move, let's not be hasty, let's not move quickly. You also get the sense that the university was afraid that somehow Kohberger was going to sue the university. And that's a spectacularly stunning fact in here, the idea that WSU, that these people who were in the administrative ranks, people who had experience with criminal justice, the upper level of WSU was not doing anything more. And so, the families, the case is pretty strong that the families have put together. And again, these are just the allegations in the initial lawsuit and the complaint. But the fact is, they've done their digging, they've done their investigation, and they've learned that there was plenty of opportunity for WSU to step in, plenty of chances for the university to say to Kohberger, we're watching you. And would that have made a difference? And that's what's heartbreaking about that.
I think you mentioned this. One of the most shocking allegations in this lawsuit was Kohberger's supervising instructor, according to this lawsuit, apparently was concerned that Kohberger, if they released him, he would sue the university. I mean, what do you make of that? As an attorney, does that seem like this supervising instructor was putting trying to save the WSU, trying to save the university above addressing these really valid concerns?
That's the question, isn't it, Brittany? I mean, were the administrators more concerned about if they take some kind of intervening action against Kohberger, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to sue us? And are we afraid of a lawsuit? And you can tell that somebody was doing this balancing test about what do we know about Kohberger, who has raised concerns about him, who's raised safety issues on the one hand, and on the other hand, he might sue us. And so I think,
how can he sue if you have 13 complaints against him? You have a job, right? You go to a job, you go to your job every day. Every job that I know, their system is like 3 strikes and you're out, 3 write-ups and you're gone. You might get a warning and then a first write-up, a second write-up, and then at your third, or they might give you a third. After that, you're gone. Like no 13 different write-ups. So this would be like him getting written up 13 different times and then him just skirting on by, just put it in the filing cabinet with the rest of them. Nothing to see here. I mean, after the third write-up, he should have been on at least like paid leave for a little bit or unpaid leave.
With this lawsuit, the victims' families are going to be able to dig deep into the university structure. You can imagine this being a bureaucratic university administration where people are talking about, we got to cover our behinds. We don't want to be sued. And of course, in retrospect, that's just heartbreakingly incompetent. So the families have a lot of digging to do as their lawsuit proceeds. What's going to happen is they're going to have access to a lot of records, a lot of depositions, a lot of statements by witnesses. And they're going to really try to get to the bottom of who was making the decision at the university that protecting ourselves against the lawsuit from Kohberger was more important than intervening with him and protecting potential future victims.
And I mean, the allegations in here are just chilling. It's not like one person called him a workplace creep. Someone said that he was, and I'm quoting them, a possible future rapist. Another said she would leave her door open just to make sure and monitor that he wouldn't do anything inappropriate if he was with a student alone. She thought he was a sexual assaulter type. The university received at least 13 formal complaints, and the lawsuit,
we read through them all. It's just been a while since we read through them.
Says that the person who's in charge of handling these complaints, they never even reached out to Kohberger in person or virtually at all to have any type of conversation with him. The lawsuit also says that multiple students weren't satisfied with the way that the university was handling Koberger. What do you make of that?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see as this lawsuit progresses. Did anything change at the university after Koberger was arrested, after the murders? Did anything at the university, did anyone say, look, we have a system that's failed. We have a system that doesn't work when people are reporting things about potential problems with our students or staff or whoever it is. That's what's going to come out in this lawsuit is, did the university do anything differently after this? Because according to the allegations, and again, the victims' families have to prove these in court, but clearly they've done a lot of digging. They've got some basis for these claims. And so you're just struck with the incompetence. You're just struck with the bureaucratic inactivity, people being more concerned about being sued than protecting. And again, the university has an obligation to protect its students. It's not just, a hope that somehow the students will be okay. The university has an affirmative obligation to protect its students. And when you have this many complaints, it'd be one thing if there were 1 or 2 complaints about Koberger. I suppose administrators might brush those off saying these are just, some kind of interpersonal situation. But when you have that level of complaints that the university had, according to the lawsuit, it's just staggering. And you just have to wonder who was making the decision as these complaints came in, who was making the decision to basically ignore them. And that's what's going to come out in this lawsuit.
The lawsuit alleges that the only reason Brian Koberger was even in this part of the country in the first place was because of WSU. And if the university conducted a more thorough background check on him, he would never be here. He would be back in Pennsylvania because WSU is right next to Moscow. It's in the same community. It's only separated by a few miles. And if there was a proper background check, it would have found some red flags that would not have made him eligible to go to the university. And I want to talk about that past behavior that's brought up in this lawsuit. One, it talks about the heroin addiction that Brian struggled with in his teen years. It also mentions this prior arrest for theft. It also talks about him allegedly getting kicked out of a vocational school after multiple female classmates complained about him.
Now, that one I think you should be able to use. Him being a heroin addict shouldn't, that should not prevent, he was a recovering addict as far as we know. And that shouldn't be something that prevents him from going to school. Like, that's just my personal opinion. And the theft when you were 16, that definitely shouldn't be used in your call. I mean, like for your, like that's before you're even 18, like, I don't know, like those 2 things I don't agree with, but the third one I do.
Also talks about this slew of really disturbing posts Brian Koberger apparently made online, talks about him and this inability to feel emotion. Apparently, allegedly, he posted about dealing with crazy thoughts and that he could, quote, do whatever I want with little remorse. The lawsuit also alleges that female employees at a local brewery complained about Koberger. They said that he made them feel so uncomfortable. They put an alert in their system that whenever they swiped his ID, it would alert other employees to let them know that his behavior was concerning. So how much does this past behavior matter?
Well, it matters.
I thought they just had like his name on a board or something of people that were like creepy. Wait, what did she just say? Did she just say that they would swipe his ID and it would come up like creepy McCreeperson? Because like that, what kind of technology is at this place? Hold on.
And that he could, quote, do whatever I want with little remorse. The lawsuit also alleges that female employees at a local brewery complained about Koberger. They said that he made them feel so uncomfortable. They put an alert in their system that.
Okay, I don't remember that. Okay, I remember the brewery. They put it on their little whiteboard. They had a whiteboard, I thought, or like it was either a whiteboard or a chalkboard. And they put his name on there and they put that he comes in and he's creepy. And then I think he came in again or something and the guy told him he couldn't come back. Isn't that? I mean,
whenever they swiped his ID, it would alert other employees to let them know that his behavior was concerning. So how much?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not this one. Not this one. Because I've worked in bars. I've been a bartender. I've been a server. No. If somebody is going to be in your system under problem, or this person causes a freaking scene, you kick that person out of your establishment, point blank, period. That's it. You don't put them in the system as he's kind of like, he's pretty bad. No, I've never heard that before a day in my life. If I was, no, they would say, you're out of here. If you were that bad. I think I just remember them writing his name on like a board.
How much does this past behavior matter?
Well, it matters to the extent that the families are claiming the university, as you said, did not do its due diligence. They did not find information about Kohberger before he came to the university. And even after the fact, once he's there, you would think that if any of this information was available to the university, that they would have put two and two together. But especially once they start getting these contemporaneous complaints, once they start getting multiple complaints about him, the question is going to be, why didn't they take stronger measures? The idea that there's some kind of 4-point improvement plan for someone who's racked up that many serious complaints. And these are not just trivial complaints about him. These are people saying, I'm scared, and not just ordinary regular folks. These are people who are specialists in criminal justice. And so the university is in a really bad position to try to defend this based on the allegations in the family's lawsuit.
Do you think that they will try to settle like out of court?
And that improvement plan, from what I saw in the lawsuit, it did look like it was more of a PIP that someone would have if they, weren't that great at their job, not if they were being accused of stalking people in the workplace. But the lawsuit also mentions issues that the WSU Police Department was facing at the time. I want to quote it. WSU Police Department had a long, troubling, and sordid history of tolerating and, in fact, fostering inappropriate sexual behavior in its own ranks and discouraging complete and accurate reporting of occurrences of such misconduct. The lawsuit mentions the resignation of multiple members of the police department over an investigation into sexual misconduct allegations. Do you think that adequately shows that the university here has a systemic problem when it comes to handling these types of allegations?
Well, the plaintiffs in this case, the victims' families certainly hope so. That's their claim. And their claim is going to be, look, the reason that the university was so inept and so incompetent at dealing with Kohberger is this systemic or this institutional problem that we've identified involving the police department, as well as just the administrators who apparently were willing to ignore the complaints about Kohberger. So there's a lot in the lawsuit that the victims' families are going to get to dig into. There's a lot to unpack here. But they've put together a really strong argument that this university failed miserably in protecting those 4 young people who were murdered, and that they had plenty of notice that they needed to do something. And so a good question is going to be, has the university changed anything since the Kohberger murders? Have they remained the same? And that's the kind of thing that this lawsuit will get into.
And to that point, it doesn't seem like, based on this lawsuit, that this was a he said, she said. It seemed like everyone in this department, or almost everyone who interacted with Bryan Kohberger on this university campus, felt some sort of way about him, and that way wasn't good. You've handled wrongful death lawsuits before. How strong of a case do you think these families have?
From what I've seen in the complaint and what we've heard surrounding it, it's an incredibly strong case, and it's just going to get even stronger as it proceeds onward in what we call discovery. When they get information from the other side, they get to sit down, have people sit down for sworn depositions. That the family's lawyers are going to dig into every corner of this, try to figure out where everything fell apart, why the university wasn't, according to them, engaged in protecting these children rather than protecting Kohberger.
And guess where they learned it all? Guess where these parents learned the judicial system from? Pretty much, let's say, Kohberger, because he killed their kids and he forced them to have to learn the judicial system. So they're going to do great. I think they're doing great already.
And so it's just, it's really heartbreaking to see these claims and realize that, according to the victims' families, the university had so many opportunities to step in, so many chances to get on top of Kohberger in the sense of, we're watching you, you're a problem, you've had so many complaints. And the fact that they didn't is going to be a key element of the lawsuit. But they've got so much information here, and it's really damning for WSU. Really, really tough for that university to come back from this.
And WSU eventually did terminate Koberger's employment in December. Obviously, that was too late. It was a month after those murders. What do you think WSU's best defense is here? Do you think that they could say, hey, we did eventually fire him? Or do you think that's more in favor of the plaintiff? What does their defense look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, the defense is going to have to be somewhere this fell apart, and we've got to figure out where it was. And, the standard defense is, well, we did everything we could, and no one could have predicted that Koberger would do this. But that's the problem, is the plaintiffs, the victims' families are saying, yes, you could have predicted this. Because, first of all, a lot of this information was coming from a lot of the complaints were coming from the criminal justice people, the criminal justice department. This was not just people who had no connection or no experience with the court system and law enforcement. These were people who knew what they were talking about. And even apart from that, just the regular complaints about him should have been more than enough to generate some type of response. So it's a tough case for the university to defend, to say, well, we were incompetent and inept for these reasons. That doesn't fly in front of a jury.
And I want to read.
I don't think that's going to fly in front of any jury. Not in this United States.
A statement from the family's lawyers. This is what they said. The victims' families have come together with a shared purpose to seek transparency, accountability, and meaningful reform. They also added this. This effort is not about vengeance or speculation. This is about ensuring that institutions entrusted with the safety of young people take threats seriously and act decisively when warning signs are present. What precedent do you think this lawsuit is going to set?
Well, again, it's the family's effort, and that's what they're saying is obviously what they believe, which is that they want to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else's family again. They're also seeking monetary damages, which is how our judicial system handles, situations like this. How do you compensate for the loss of these four really lovely, sweet young people at the hands of a brutal, killer? So the family's saying, on the one hand, university, you need to compensate us for what you did, what you didn't do. But we also want to ensure that there's attention paid to how incompetent or how failed the university's response was. So they're trying to seek justice. Again, they had the Koberger criminal case, didn't go to trial. He did plead guilty, locked up for the rest of his life. But there may be some in those victims' families who say, we can't just stop with Koberger. There was a systemic fault here at the university that let this happen, and we want to make sure that never happens again.
This story was just, absolutely tragic for college kids. Also especially tragic when you read the allegations in here. And if this is true of what WSU knew, it's just horrifying. And I know that you said that the families are seeking unspecified monetary damages. No amount of money, obviously, is going to bring back their family members. That's just horrible. But what do you think that could look like?
It's sort of, I don't know is the short answer. But what they want is this to hurt enough to the university that the university pays attention to it. They want to say, look, you've got to pay one way or the other, whether it's you change your policies, you fire the people who should be fired, you find out who was responsible for making these horrible decisions on the one hand, and on the other, our judicial system compensates people. This is really the only way they do it is with money. But if it's a large enough amount that it makes people sit up and pay attention to the university's actions or inactions, that's where the victims' families are going. I certainly believe them when they say, this is not about the money because nothing will bring back our loved ones, but we've got to make you, university, pay attention.
I agree.
To how you behaved or how you failed to act to protect our people. So the money, the figure is really something to say, look, take notice, pay attention. You've got to pay out a huge multi-million-dollar sum because you failed. And we want you to understand that we're taking this seriously, and you as a university ought to be taking this seriously.
If you had to put a monetary amount on it, I wonder how much they would pay out. Not that it matters, because I don't think any amount would matter, but I think that they should probably pay out something. I think that they should be held accountable for a little bit of this. Koberger was in their school for 3 to 4 months, and he had 13 13 write-ups about him. I mean, like, these are 13 different people. How many people do they have that work, in the criminal justice building, or, that are students there, to have that many people come forward? I don't care if you have like 2,000 students. If you have more than one student come forward, one student is enough. That's one too many, one too many. But if you have 13 people coming forward, and these are people that work, they're faculty, and they're saying that this dude is creeping me out. He's doing things that are weird. Okay, now I know if he followed them through the parking lot, if they didn't tell him, hey, you're creeping me out, or hey, don't do this, and he continued to do it, then that's a problem, right? But if he didn't continue to do it, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But he did. He continued to do it to the point where they had to get escorts. Like, what? He would say weird stuff too. Like, what are you doing when you get off work? Just like weird things, like things that you don't need to be talking about. Like, I'm off work. I would have been like, what are you doing? I would have said something to him. I mean, but that's just me. Because I like to go home after work, and I'm an impatient person. And I would have been like, stop following me. Where you parked? In your car all the way over there? Yeah, they typically don't mess around. I think maybe they were just wondering if they let him go after Christmas, everything would be everything would be okay. It didn't happen. Now there is a new filing. It is going to be a defendant's motion to transfer the venue. Okay, Washington State University wants to change venue. Okie dokie. This is like 11 pages or something, but some of the pages we could skim through. So, it's not very big. Maybe I can make it bigger if I just move this over. I have like a little calendar there where my trackpad is. So let me see. I don't know if I can, because these are, I can. Okay, never mind. Okay, we can. Okay, so Steve is on behalf. So one parent for one student, basically, is what this is. I don't know why they did it that way. I'm just assuming that way they could just talk to one person, the lawyer, or, and give the information to so there wasn't a bunch of people. I don't know. But it's Steve on behalf of Kaylee, Karen on behalf of Maddie, Jeff on behalf of Xana, and Stacy on behalf of Ethan. And they are the plaintiffs, and Washington State University is the defendant in this. And this is a defendant's motion to transfer venue. So it says, this is a civil rights and wrongful death action arising from the murder of 4 University of Idaho students in their Idaho residence against Washington State University, initially filed in Skagit County, Washington. No, I say that wrong. And removed by WSU to the Western District of Washington. WSU now seeks to transfer the venue of this case from the Western District of Washington to the Eastern District of Washington, the location of its Pullman, Washington campus. The facts asserted in plaintiff's complaint and the location of WSU staff and student with knowledge of the same. Okay, let me get the next page before I get all the way down to the bottom of this one. For each of these reasons and the reasons set forth below, blow it up. Maybe. Now I can get this one to blow up. We can. That one was so easy. There we go. So where were we at on the last one? It says, for each of these reasons and the reasons set forth below, WSU respectfully requests this court should grant this motion to transfer the venue of this action to the Eastern District of Washington. The facts in the background of the case are Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were all undergraduate students at the University of Idaho, located in Moscow, Idaho. During the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, they spelled his name wrong. Oh my gosh. Brian Koberger murdered Gonzalez, Mogan, Kernodle, and Chapin at their residence in Moscow, Idaho. About 4 months before the murders, Koberger was accepted into WSU's Criminal Justice and Criminology Graduate Program. In July 2022, Koberger moved to Pullman, Washington. WSU's Doctor of Philosophy in Criminal Justice and Criminology, the program Koberger was accepted to, is exclusively located on WSU's Pullman campus. Plaintiff's complaint focuses on Koberger's behavior on WSU's main campus in Pullman. The plaintiffs allege WSU remained idle in the face of known extreme and repeated instances of discrimination, sexual harassment, and stalking by Koberger occurring in its educational program throughout the entirety of the 2022 fall semester. I always forget what that is. Okay. I think it's 9, but I always forget it wrong. Like the 1X, I think it's 9. Okay. So plaintiff complaint focuses on Koberger's behavior at the main campus. Okay. And it says it's remained idle in the face of known extreme and repeated instances of discrimination, sexual harassment, and stalking by Koberger occurring in its educational program throughout the entirety of its fall semester. To support their Title IX claim, plaintiffs focus on Koberger's behavior in WSU's classroom and the Pullman campus building that houses WSU's criminology department, which are located on WSU's main campus in Pullman. Based on their complaint, all occurrences that give rise to plaintiffs' causes of action occurred on or near WSU's Pullman campus in the Eastern District of Washington. Let me grab the next page. I should have had these open, but I figured if I opened them all, I would get mixed up, but I didn't realize I had the number at the bottom. Okay. So it says here, that they occurred on the at the Eastern campus, on the eastern side of Washington. What page are we on? 2? Okay. I'm like, why can't I see 3? Oh, there it is. Okay. So additionally, while plaintiff's complaint does not specifically mention any WSU staff by name, plaintiffs have broadly identified members of the WSU. Let me blow this up a little more for you guys. WSU Department of Criminal Justice or Criminology, members of the WSU Police Department, and members of the WSU administration as those individuals who are likely to have knowledge regarding plaintiff's factual allegations. These individuals will likely include the following. Oh, they got names. David Brody, Craig Hines, Faith, I'm just going to call them by first name, David, Hillary, Melanie, Emily. That's probably Emily. It's spelled weird. Emily, I mean, not like weird, John, Dale, Rebecca, Sisuvana, I don't know, Danielle, Dana, Mary, Holly, Dawn, and Kevin. Wow. Okay. All of these individuals live in the greater Pullman area. As discovery progresses, additional witnesses will likely be identified since all events in the plaintiff's complaint admittedly took place in the Eastern District of Washington. Most of any additional witnesses are likely to reside in the Eastern District as well. Venue would be far more convenient in the Eastern District. Where was I at? Okay. Then it says procedural history. Plaintiffs filed this lawsuit on January 7th, 2026 in Skagit County Superior Court. On January 27th, 2026, WSU removed the matter to this court in accordance with, it gives the numbers, because the underlying events for this lawsuit occurred in Pullman and Moscow. WSU seeks to transfer this case to the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Washington. That was a lot. So then their argument is venue is proper and more convenient in the Eastern District of Washington because the alleged acts in the complaint occurred in Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho. And it says a district court has discretion to adjudicate motions for transfer according to an individualized case-by-case consideration of convenience and fairness. Try to load up. Okay, look. So for the convenience of parties and witnesses in the interest of justice, a district court may transfer any civil action to any other district or division where it might have been brought. The burden is on the MOVAT to make the strong showing that a change of venue is warranted. Here, WSU has made a strong showing that transfer to the Eastern District is appropriate. A motion to transfer venue under 1404 Section A requires the court to weigh multiple factors in deciding whether to transfer on grounds of convenience and in the interest of justice. For example, the court may consider 1, the location where the relevant agreements were negotiated and executed, 2, the state that is most familiar with the governing law, 3, the plaintiff's choice of forum, 4, the respective parties' contacts with the forum, 5, the contacts relating to the plaintiff's cause of action in the chosen forum. 6, the differences in the cost of litigation in the two forums. 7, the availability of compulsory process to compel attendance and unwilling non-party witnesses. And 8, the ease of access to sources of proof. That was kind of that was a lot. In addition to the Jones factors, courts weigh the public interest factors, including administrative difficulties follow for courts when litigation is piled up in congested centers instead of being handled at its origin. Jury duty imposed upon the people of a community which has no relation to the litigation. And 3, local interest in having localized controversies decide at home. Where the action has little connection with the chosen forum, less difference is accorded plaintiff's choice, even if plaintiff is a resident of the forum. Well, they're not a resident there anymore. Sorry. That was me being funny. I'm gonna grab my drink. Weighing these relevant factors is a matter of the discretion of the trial judge. So then it's talking about like the Jones factors, but each of the Jones factors are applicable support transferring venue to the Eastern District of Washington. Factors 1, 2, and 3 relating to the location where any agreements were executed, the state most familiar with the relevant law, and plaintiff's choice of forum, respectively, are not applicable here. First, there are no agreements as to any plead cause of action to the extent that the court interprets this factor as pertaining to agreements related to Koberger's admission to or residential status at WSU. This factor would militate in favor of transferring venue to the Eastern District where WSU is located. Oh, I guess they're trying to fight this maybe. Like, what is this? Hold on. I have to read that part over. Okay. Second, both the Eastern and Western districts are located in the state of Washington, so there is no choice of state issues here. Third, plaintiffs filed this action in Skagit County Superior Court because that county is situated within the Western District of Washington. It was removed based on federal question jurisdiction to this court. I guess that would help some of the families. They live up that way. As such, this court is not plaintiff's choice of forum, and this factor does not weigh in favor of keeping this action in the Western District. The more relevant factors likewise support changing venue to the Eastern District. I can understand going to the Eastern District because that's like where they're saying that this happened in. I can understand that. So the parties' respective contacts with the forum weigh heavily in favor of transferring the present action to the Eastern District. WSU operates its main campus in Pullman, which is located in the Eastern District. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Washington. WSU's main campus is the situs for many of the plaintiff's factual allegations in their complaint. Moreover, Kohberger's murders. Let me just get the next page. Sorry. I know this is like, there we go. It's so easy to do, but I'm not good at doing the trackpad. Okay. It says, moreover, Kohberger's murders of Gonzalez, Mogan, Coronado, and Chapin occurred in Moscow, which is 10 miles from the WSU campus in Pullman, Washington. The only meaningful connection any of the parties have with the Western District is plaintiff Chapin's residency in Skagit County. And then it says, while WSU is a state college with satellite campuses in Everett and Vancouver, Washington, WSU's operation of satellite campuses unrelated to the factual events at issue in the lawsuit does not create a compelling or practical reason for this action to be litigated in the Western District. Indeed, WSU has more contacts in the Eastern District than the Western District, as it also operates satellite campuses in Richland and Spokane in addition to its main campus in Pullman. The parties' only connections to the Western District are a single plaintiff's residency in Skagit County and WSU's satellite campuses in Everest and Vancouver, none of which are the situs of any factual allegation in plaintiff's complaint. There are no other apparent connections between the parties of the Western District. Accordingly, this factor weighs heavily in favor of transferring venue to the Eastern District. Similar to the parties' contacts with the forum, this factor weighs heavily in favor of transferring venue to the Eastern District. All of the plaintiff's specific factual allegations between WSU and Kohberger took place on WSU's main campus in Pullman. Plaintiff's complaint does not include any factual allegations that occurred at WSU's Everett or Vancouver satellite campuses. In fact, the underlying murders that plaintiffs are seeking damages for occurred in Moscow, Idaho, which again is 10 miles from the WSU campus in Pullman, Washington. Since all the contacts relating to plaintiffs' causes of action occur in either Pullman or Moscow, and not any location in the Western District, this factor again weighs heavily in favor of transfer to the Eastern District. I wonder how many times we say Eastern District or Western District. If this was a drinking game, we'd be drunk. I'm just saying. We would be. We'd probably be in the hospital, actually. Shoot. What page were we on? 6? Yeah. Okay. Again, this factor weighs in favor to transfer to the Eastern District. The vast majority of potential witnesses are located in the greater Pullman area, which is located in the Eastern District. For example, complaint focuses on conduct by WSU staff who are employed at WSU's main campus in Pullman or have an address on file with WSU that is in the Eastern District. It will be less costly for those witnesses to testify in the Eastern District than the Western District, as a significant majority of witnesses currently reside in the Eastern District. As discovery progresses and additional witnesses are identified, it is more likely than not that those witnesses will also reside in the Eastern District, because plaintiffs' factual allegations in their complaint focuses on conduct that occurred at WSU's main campus in Pullman. Outside of the plaintiff Chapin's residency in the Western District, there is no meaningful connection that would infer reduced litigation costs by keeping this case in the Western District. Therefore, this factor weighs in favor of transfer to the Eastern District. Now, if I was one of the families reading this, I'd be pissed. Just right here, I would be mad. I would say, well, I didn't get a trial over here in this district, so put the money over there. I mean, you can't do that, but like, I would be thinking that. I would be thinking that. This factor is neutral. the parties have the same compulsory processes available to them in both districts. This factor weighs in favor of transfer to the Eastern District. As discussed above, the underlying events in plaintiff's complaint all occur in Pullman and Moscow, which are both in the Eastern District. Most, if not all, sources of proof for all parties are located in the Eastern District, which is where WSU's main campus is located. It says here that in Cruz versus Ferry, the court applied the Jones factors and the public interest factors and determined. Okay, now I got to go back. Put this thing up. Okay. District of Washington was a more convenient forum than the Western District of Washington. The court granted defendants' motion to transfer venue from the Western District of Washington to the Eastern District. In Cruz, the action was brought against Ferry County, located in the Eastern District, and the county's employees. The plaintiff, who resided in the Western District, filed suit in King County, Washington, and the defendants removed the case to the Western District, then moved to change venue. In granting the motion to transfer, the court applied the Jones factors and noted all actions alleged occurred in the Eastern District, and the majority of witnesses resided in that district. I'm not even saying it anymore. And all of the physical evidence was located in that district, the Eastern one. Because this case is exclusively concerned with events that occurred in that district, the Eastern one, the court finds that public policy factors, particularly the local interest in deciding local controversies and not burdening citizens in an unrelated forum with jury duty, favor transfer. It says granting motion to change venue to the Eastern District because all the acts occurred in Eastern Washington and most witnesses reside there. The action has little connection to the Western District, and plaintiff's chosen forum is entitled to less weight even though plaintiffs reside in this district. The fact that Cruz and Fair are similar to this case, the alleged acts complained of in plaintiff's complaint occurred in the Eastern District. The majority of potential witnesses reside in the Eastern District, and the physical evidence is located in the Eastern District. Just move it there. I mean, for love of God. Like, they've said Eastern District a lot, haven't they? In fact, similar to this case, the Western District transferred Cruz and Fair, even though plaintiffs in those matters lived in the Western District at the time of the suit. Here, of the four plaintiffs, only plaintiff Chapin resides in the Western District. Okay. Next page. Okay. Page 9. Okay. So it says, additionally, the local interest in deciding local controversies and not burdening citizens in an unrelated forum with jury duty weigh in favor of transfer to the Eastern District. If you couldn't guess, the Eastern District. In addition to the Jones factors, the court weighed the public interest factors set out in Gulf Oil. The three pertinent public interest factors set forth in the Gulf Oil are: 1, administrative difficulties for courts with litigation when litigation is piled up in congestive centers instead of being handled at its origin; jury duty imposed upon the people of the community which has no relation to the litigation; and local interest in having localized controversies decide at home. Now, nobody there's a change of venue again, like if they change it, because, you know, oh, can't get a jury here, change of venue. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. Because they might. Local interest in having localized controversies decided at home. All three factors weigh in favor of transferring venue to the Eastern District of Washington. The center of this controversy is WSU's Pullman campus, which is in the Eastern District. The factual allegations in plaintiff's complaint focus almost entirely on conduct that occurred on or near WSU's main campus in Pullman. The majority of the witnesses in this case located in the Eastern District. Tomorrow at work, I want you all to use I want you to use that, you know, Pullman, WSU is in the Eastern District of Washington in a sentence. Just please tell me I taught you something tonight. There is a much stronger nexus in this case between the Eastern District and plaintiff's allegations than between the Western District and the plaintiff's allegations. Congesting the Western District docket unnecessarily is inefficient, especially given that the Eastern District is more convenient forum. Okay, so then jury duty, subjecting, can't get that word out right, subjecting residents of the Western District to jury duty is unnecessary, especially considering that the Western District has no relationship with the subject matter of the lawsuit. The most compelling Gulf oil public interest factor in this case is that the residents in the Eastern District have a right to have localized controversies like this lawsuit decided at home. Oh, we got one more. Well, we're not going to blow this one up. We're just going to leave it like this. The Eastern District has a local interest in adjudicating this suit, as that is where the cause of action originates. The public interest factors favor transfer to the Eastern District. The interest of justice and conveyance to the parties support transfer to the Eastern District of Washington. I swear I'm going to count how many. All acts in the complaint occurred in the Eastern District, and the vast majority of witnesses reside in the Eastern District. Defendant WSU respectfully requests this court grant this motion to transfer venue to the Eastern District of Washington. Date January 30th, 2026. You ain't going to get the documents any faster than that, I don't think. But man, they really said that a lot, didn't they? Eastern District. Use it in a sentence tomorrow. I swear, if you guys didn't learn something, you learned that. Koberger's school that he went to, WSU Pullman, it was in the Eastern District of Washington. In Skagit County, where Chapin's from, Ethan Chapin and his family, that's the Western District. Where's baby girl at when I know stuff about Washington? She'd be so proud of me. She'd be so proud of me right now. She's probably listening in the bushes laughing around something. She is. Hey, Kathy, don't ever say ditto in this chat. I thought that said something else. I'm on one. I must be tired. I thought that said something else, Kathy. I was like, what? Oh, Ashley, that's sweet. We love you. Oh man, Kathy, that made me laugh. That made me laugh really hard. I got a perverted mind, I guess. Sorry. That makes when my eyes water, then my nose runs. It's so weird how that works. It's, when you have a prosthetic eye, that's how that works. Okay. I can be serious. That was just funny because I thought that said something else. Okay. I'm seeing if this is. Okay. So we got one more. One more for the one more. But I'm not going to I won't even blow these ones up because they're not that long. So, okay. So this is declaration of Cheryl Zell in support of defendant's motion to transfer venue. So she hereby declare under penalty of perjury that the following is true and correct. She is over the age of 18. They have personal knowledge of all the facts contained in this declaration, and they are competent to testify to those facts, testify herein from personal knowledge. I am currently the Associate Vice President, Chief Compliance and Risk Officer. Well, that's a long term at Washington State University. Okay. If someone had me say, I need you to type out or write out what you are, I would be like, you better give me a shorter title. Associate Vice President, Chief Compliance and Risk Officer at Washington State University. I have held this position since April 2020. I have been employed with WSU since March 2017. Okay. WSU has 5 campus locations: Pullman, Spokane, Richland, Vancouver, and Everett. WSU's Pullman campus is its main campus. WSU offers a variety of undergraduate and graduate degrees and majors, including those offered by WSU Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, WSU's Doctor of Philosophy, and Criminal Justice and Criminology is offered exclusively at WSU's Pullman campus. The following WSU Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology staff and faculty and other WSU employees have addresses located near Pullman, Washington, according to their employee records. Now, are they like supposed to be putting these people's names out here on blast? These are the employees that were around Brian Koberger. These are the people that were hiding. Remember when this all happened and they like shut the window of and they didn't let anybody back? Remember Brian Enton tried to go back like into like where the classrooms and stuff were, and they were like, "Oh, you ain't going back here, Brian Enton." It was like the only place he couldn't go. So they've got these people's names listed here. Same names already read off. So I'm not reading these off again because some of those names I couldn't read. But they're the only one. Don Daniels is the only one I recognize. Isn't Don Daniels the one that was the cop that went to Koberger's house? I think so. I think she was. Oh, I hope you're not, Casey. Hey, Space Chunky. Didn't see you come in. Welcome in, everybody. If you guys don't mind, smack that like button for your girl. It really does help me. So these are the names here of the people that are the, oh my gosh, employees, I guess. So they're probably like, you assholes, put our names out there. Like, I would. And then this is the last of it, dated just, the 30th of January, 2026. And it is February the 1st. Can you believe that already? February 1st. I love Dwight from The Office. He makes me laugh. And I would be like that guy if I was in an office setting. Like, don't touch my pens. I thought about going back to pencils, mechanical ones, but I couldn't. I was breaking the mechanical one too bad. So I guess I have more pressure on my hand now than I did when I was in high school, because I haven't used one since high school. But I forgot how the ease of erasing a pencil. Like I always write in pen and I always mess up every time. Every time I write something, I mess up. I didn't feel good, like, what was it, a couple weeks ago? And then like last week, tomorrow is Groundhog Good Day. Really? Well, look at that. Vincent took, I think, tomorrow off because he didn't get the other, he didn't get like Martin Luther King Day or something off. So I thought he was just on call, but I guess he didn't get it off. So they told him that he can have a day off, and he's like, I went ahead and picked another Monday. He said, I didn't want to be greedy and pick a Friday. I'm like, you're a good employee. Because no other employee would probably care like that, right? Oh, we'll tell your granddaughter happy birthday. Hey, Kimber Crimes. Tell her we all said happy birthday. How old is she going to be? That son of a bitch, but I'll see his shadow. Oh, Kathy. I hear you there sometimes. Some days I feel like I do that too. If he sees his shadow, I always forget. He saw it. Wait, if he sees it, that means we get 6 more weeks of winter, supposedly. I believe in that. I do. Should be 22. Oh my gosh, that's a good age. That's a good age. It was a little rough for me, but it's a great age though. Like I was like the craziest, worst, best year of my life. My dad passed when I was 22, but the friends that I had and I made and the things that I did, I don't know, just I had a good, for it being a crappy, like for something crappy happening, I had a great early 20s. I thought my early 20s were great. So tell her 22 is the best. I've had actually my cat since I was 22. He's around here somewhere. 22 or 23. Actually, you know what? I don't remember him coming out when Vincent got home. Did Rocky come out when you came home? Because he came home to feed me. Really, to feed me dinner. That's how it is around here. I won't eat. I'll starve. I'll starve for the rest of my life if it isn't for him. I'll be like, I have to go make myself something. For real? No, he just cooks. He cooks for us. But he grabbed food tonight. He just grabbed pizza tonight. But he usually does cook for us, which is amazing. I'm extremely lucky. Oh, I didn't see him either. Oh gosh. I haven't seen him either. But where would he go? He didn't go on the balcony when you were grabbing that stuff, did he? Okay, I'm going to go. I know he's around here. He's done this to me. He has done this to me so many times. And he's here. I know he is. He did this to me for an hour and a half one night, and it was during the Sebastian Rogers case, like right when that first happened, like not when it first happened, but like a few months in. And I said I would never judge Katie after that. Like I don't know. Yeah, so I'm gonna go find him because I was gonna say something earlier, but dang it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go look for him. I bet you he's behind the bed or something. Like sometimes he sneaks in, so I'm going to go check. I'm going to go look for him. I'll let you guys know in the community tab that I found him. He's probably sleeping somewhere so good right now. And I'll be like, I'm going to get you. Okay. I'll let the music go. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. I got to go find Rocky. He's the greatest thing, I've ever had. I love that cat. So I got to go find him. Bye guys. See you later.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.